Hi, everyone. Welcome back to One Step at a Time. I'm one of your podcast hosts, Sham.
I'm Arushi.
And today, our topic is going to be about transitioning from online or virtual learning to in-person learning. What have you noticed, for the transition wise from online to in-person?
Well, honestly, it's our second week of school now. The second week of school just ended, and last week we only had a 4-day week. And I can honestly tell you that it was so stressful for me, and it was so exhausting just going back in school because we went from being fully virtual for almost 2 years or 18 months to going back in person full time with no difference. An hour, we have block scheduling, so it's an hour and a half classes, and that's the exact same schedule that we're following now. So there was no oh, let's start with delayed openings, start at 9 and then work our way back up. They just started flat out with 7:30 in the morning. You've got to be in school.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. We only had a delayed opening for the first day, and right after the first 3 days, we had a 5-day weekend, and then the week after that, we had a day off. So it's kind of hard to transition if you get so many days off at first. So that was something I struggled with, and it's something that you mentioned, how they just put us in it, the whole schedule, no time to transition. I found that really hard to struggle with, especially trying to adjust my sleep schedule, which has been really bad over the lockdown. And it's just it's kind of really hard to wake up at 6 in the morning.
Our school is there already been COVID cases detected, and they still haven't shut down the school, which is fine and dandy and all, but obviously this pandemic has affected everyone, either in mental health way, physically, mentally, there's emotionally. There's so many ways that this pandemic could affect you, and it's affected everyone in a unique way. I see nothing going on trying to take care of the mental health of our students, in my school at least. We have what's called, I think they're called SAC counselors, students assistant. I think they're called student assistant counselors. So their one job is basically to help students who are struggling with mental health. And maybe she is. Some people in school obviously have diagnosed depression and anxiety and different mental health disorders. And I know for a fact that she checks in on them, but I don't think she understands, or I don't think the school understands, that this pandemic has had a very negative effect on everybody, even people who don't have mental disorders, people who were mentally healthy prior to the pandemic. And I see no support for the people who are still grieving losses from this pandemic. I don't see support for people who are having a tough time with the transition, because we got back into school. I had a presentation on yesterday. I had a presentation.
Literally, we had a quiz on the second week of school, and 2 or 3 quizzes, and now next week we have 5 quizzes. It's just
yeah, I had a quiz on Monday. I had a presentation yesterday, and the first week of school, I had a test on the third day of school. Okay, let's be frank. No one actually learned anything last year. Everyone either searched up the answers or they copied off their friends that, or even right, or if it was in their short-term memory, you're not going to remember it. Virtual learning was incredibly hard for me because I don't learn online. Everyone is cheating, and I know the teachers know that too, because the teachers told me. I know my students cheated, but they still have these unrealistic expectations for us. One of my friends, she literally started bawling in class for no reason. There was no reason. This girl is so strong, and she just started crying in class because everything was too much.
I definitely agree. It's kind of just felt like they were trying to ignore the virtual year and just go back into it as if we were online, we were in school for virtual. They're acting as if we learned things from virtual, and they're teaching us new concepts that we may have not understood, because the base concepts, especially in math, we didn't actually take that in for the virtual learning year. And now they're just trying to teach new things, and I just find their speed, they're going so fast. It's a little too much for me, in my opinion. And it's I know a lot of a good amount of people who are they're having physical side effects too. They're feeling really sick. They're just because they haven't been taking care of themselves. Their sleep schedule is messed up again. because like they have to stay up late to do homework and then wake up at like 6 in the morning, or like they're not eating any on like time anymore, so like they're starving themselves, so they just don't have time to eat.
Our lunchroom isn't that big, right? And we have like 1,000 students in our school. So usually we have 3 lunches. So everyone like there's no social distancing right before the pandemic, but now they want us to social distance in the lunchroom for good reason, because you got to take your mask off to eat, right? So they made 5 lunches. They went from 3 to 5 lunches. Each lunch is 20 minutes long. I have 20 minutes to eat my lunch every day. On top of that, so I have a lunch. So that's from 11 o'clock to 11:20. At 11:15, they're like, start wrapping it up, guys, you gotta go. Or like at 11:12, they'll be like, oh, you have 3 more minutes. I'm like, no, I have 7 more minutes to eat my lunch. Do not tell me that I have to leave right now, because I don't have to leave right now.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 minutes just isn't enough for lunch, because my locker is at the other end of the school. So I have to literally run downstairs to get to lunch on time, so I have time to eat my lunch. I have to run back upstairs to put my lunch away because I have a science class after. I have physics. You can't bring food into a science classroom. So I'm getting my steps in, Sham. I'm just running around the school all day and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, same thing with us. There's like, except our lunches have always been 20 minutes, but the problem is like my lunch is 11:50 to like 12:10, around that time. The thing is, what they did this year to like promote like healthy eating, and like because they recognize a lot of people don't have like opportunities to like have good food at home, they made all school lunches free, like the minimum school lunch free. So now you have like 15-minute long lines, or even or like 20-minute long lines, and since the entire lunch is 20 minutes, someone just gets their lunch and they're like, lunch is over, and then they can't eat it.
We're having that problem too, because we also get free lunches. I think it's a whole, like, all of New Jersey public school, because they got federal funds.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's great, like, because some people have really struggled financially because of the pandemic, and some people, like, they just don't have access to the healthiest foods. But the problem that I feel that comes with that is that the quality of the lunches is not good.
It's not good. And the thing is, if they're gonna do free lunches, I feel like they should accommodate for the time differences. Cause like before you had like, it was still long lines, but like our lines lasted until like half of the lunchroom. Now our lines extend to almost like the entire lunchroom, like from front and back. So it's like their timing is not accommodating for that, because a lot of the people don't even have time to eat the lunch, or they don't even get lunch in general because of like the timing. So I feel like free lunch in this situation, it was good. It's a good move for like people who can't have healthy, or like who have like financial difficulties at home. But they should have like made timing adjustments to timing, like maybe make the time of the period shorter from like 40 minutes to like 30 minutes or something, so that each lunch period can have more time to actually get their lunch and eat it.
Exactly. Like, they're prioritizing academics, right? And I get that, because we're going to school, but how are you supposed to learn on an empty stomach? And oh my God, I don't know if you heard, but in my school, okay, so originally they were giving us like cold lunches, like bagged lunches, and you had an option between vegetarian and non-vegetarian. And this week I'm vegetarian because Ganpati is going on. I can't eat meat. So I had to grab a vegetarian meal. And when I kid you not, on Friday when I grabbed that vegetarian, not like yesterday, like last Friday, first week of school, it was 3 thick pieces of cheese and 2 pieces of and they called it a cheese sandwich. It was cold. It wasn't even grilled. And there was no sauce. They just gave us spicy mustard on the side and 20 cherry tomatoes. Tell me how that's supposed to be lunch.
20 cherry tomatoes?
I was like, who made this lunch, bro? Like, who? What? Where's the flavor? This is cheese.
In our school, they always have pizza, like warm pizza, so I just get that for the vegetarian lunch. But my friends who are non-vegetarian, and like this week they're vegetarian, they've said the same things. Like they have gotten like the vegetarian options for food that aren't pizza, and they said it was literally so like there's no effort in making it. Like we had a burrito that had like cold veggie nuggets and cheese, and they called it a burrito.
Oh, yesterday they gave me a burrito. It was just cheese. There was nothing else in the burrito. It was just cheese.
It was, yeah, mouthfuls of cheese. And I'm thankful I didn't get that. But it was like, I feel so bad, because it's like in our school, like the non-vegetarian food, like they get hot lunches. And I don't think there is a lot of options for vegetarians. And I feel like that's a really big problem because in my school, our school is like majority Indian, majority a lot of people are vegetarian, but they aren't like the like accommodations for that aren't really good. It's just like cold sandwiches or cold burritos, or we had like French fries and they were raw and they were like stringy, like they just bent.
Prior to the pandemic, we had good lunch, like for vegetarians and for like
Yeah, same.
considering like that it's a school cafeteria, we had pretty
Hmm.
decent lunch. We had
Hmm.
a salad bar, we had sandwich bar. So if you weren't feeling hot lunch, you could grab that. And they gave like cold sandwiches where you can just get the
Make like
sandwich and go.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Hmm.
can just grab like the packet and go if you didn't want hot lunch. They had like chips and drinks and like soda and stuff that you could pick. This year they don't have any of that. Like, and I get it because they don't want the lines to be long. They just want people to take it and go, right? But the
Hmm.
quality of food has gone down significantly. And not in my high school, but in like a high school in my township, they served an uncooked hamburger to a student. It was not cooked properly, or it was expired, or I don't know what. The student got violently sick, and their parents went crazy at the school. They were like, why are you feeding my like kids rotten food? There's actually a news article about it. There is a news station that published a school that's saying blah 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 school district is feeding their kids on like inedible food. And I get it, but they had so long to prepare.
The execution of many things is definitely off. It's like I feel like a lot of school districts or like the people just in general don't understand that like the transition from online to in school is just so hard, and they're not really making it any easier because a lot of the things like the quality has degraded a lot, especially the lunches. And with the classrooms in general, like they still teach as if we retained all the information from last year. So there's so many, I know people who have had like mental breakdown because they can't process all this new information that's coming in. And it's just, which just kind of ties into about like the difficulty with the subject material and like the inability to focus because like we know or ritual, we basically didn't learn anything, and they're really not doing to accommodate for any of that, and it's just so hard for so many of us. I don't think acting like there was no pandemic in terms of school is going to do us any good.
I totally agree with you. Like, personally, I think they've executed this so poorly in so many ways. Like, I thought at least they would have mental health resources like ready for students because honestly, I feel like after this pandemic, everyone needs therapy. And people are like, oh, pandemic this, pandemic that. Like, but it did happen. I know you're sick of us talking about it, but it did happen. And for so many people, they lost members of their family. For so many people, they got COVID themselves and they're still suffering from side effects of COVID. Like people still don't have their smell, people still can't taste, people have weaker lungs, and mental health has literally declined significantly. I think it was worse for like elementary school students and middle schoolers. But for I still think it was bad for high schools because we're still developing. We're still trying to find who we are as people and what we like and who we like and all that. And like, oh, I like this guy. No, no, no. I don't like him anymore. There's
Mhm.
so much going on, but you need social interaction for that. And we were inside for 18 months not seeing people. We weren't even allowed to touch people, like give hugs and hold hands or whatever the heck. And that not significantly, but it did affect our development as people, whether we realize it now or not.
Especially like I want to say I'm a senior, so it's like that even though like the pandemic did affect us a lot mentally, and then right as we get back to school we have to start working on college apps, and it's like there's so many things going on, and like with the teachers giving so much work, it's like I'm on FaceTime calls to all my friends, and all of them are like we're all like literally crying because we are having mental breakdowns because we cannot fathom all the work that goes in because there's no check for mental health. It's just they just put everything on us and hoping we can get through it without like with minimal damage to our mental health.
It's just insane because like, I mean, I get it. Like you don't want us to, like you want us to be able to be strong and you want us to be able to like do all this by ourselves, but we can't. And honestly, students aren't going to go asking for help because they probably have no idea what's going on with them. They have no idea what's happening. No one I have talked to is excited that school is back in session.
Yeah, it's literally not exciting, especially like I'm like even more so like I talk to like right now, but it's like this is like in terms for high schoolers, I feel like this is even harder for like juniors and seniors because juniors have the SAT and that stuff to worry about. So like studying for that too as well, along with schoolwork is like really hard. And for seniors, college app deadlines are like right around the corner or like 1 or 2 months in. So I feel like it's really stressful and it's like the workload isn't getting any easier to help with any of that.
Tell me about it. I'm taking my SAT in like 3 weeks, and I know I'm not gonna get a good score because I just haven't had the time to study because there's just so much going on. Like, this is the only time I have to record this podcast.
Our biology teacher was like, to be fair, he did give this over the summer, but he added some extra stuff. It was like we have to make two different sets of flashcards of like all like the chemical. It was AP Bio, so like of course the workload would be harder, but it was just we have to make like two separate flashcard like decks, and then like we had to like we had to like draw a lot of like we have to draw like 30 different drawings of molecules, and none of this we didn't know any of this yet because this is like we've never been into like AP Bio. This was like biochemistry level, so we were sitting there on like before the first week of school on FaceTime for like hours, like in the midnight at like 2 a.m. trying to figure out how to do all this work that we didn't even know how to do. He just put us to it.
I feel like this could have been handled so much better by the schools. I think the schools are not doing a good job.
I feel like most people are just waiting to go back online with like COVID cases increasing rampantly.
I don't know whether I want to go back online because, okay, don't get me wrong, I hate school. I don't want to go. That's a fact. But if I'm online, I don't learn anything at all. At all. I was depressed. I was unmotivated. Like, school, at least like for school, I have to get up and get out of bed and take a shower. Like, it's like my life because I struggle with my mental health a lot, and I still am because of incidents that have recently occurred. But when I have routine in my life, it makes it easier for me to go about my day.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for me to get things done and to stay motivated and not to stay in bed all day, like depressed and sleeping. And without going to school in person, there is no routine.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of is a lose-lose situation because like I'm the same way. Like without routine, I kind of just fall apart. So that's what happened in like, during the pandemic. And like mental health, obviously, like it was hard during the pandemic, and definitely it will be hard during school now too. But with the difference, I believe being like even the routine brings structure and order to my life and helps me function. It's like this kind of like routine, like this school routine, it's just so mentally like burdened. It's like so hard and mentally burdening. At this point, I think is like the relief I get from having a real routine even worth it, because if my routine just consists of going to school and then doing homework for like 4 or 5 hours and then like working on college apps for another 2 or 3 hours, is that really a routine? And like, is that really a routine that's doing me a lot of good online? It's like even though I'm feeling like even though I don't learn anything, at least I'm not like struggling to get everything done. At least I am like, there's still stuff like I have to do that I can get done. So that's just the main thing for me, because with online, I'm literally struggling to get everything. I'm doing everything at the same time, and I'm not doing it, and I just don't think I'm doing them well. It's a whole stressful situation.
I totally agree with what you just said, because I don't know whether the stress of school is worth the relief of having a routine. And I can't seem to remember what the fun parts of school were, because there were definitely fun parts.
Yeah.
Talking to your friends, seeing your friends every day, like that's a blessing. Like, but it's not enough anymore. Because of course I missed my friends. I missed seeing people and being around people. Even if I didn't know them, I missed like being around. I'm an extroverted introvert. Like
yeah, I get you. Yeah,
I'm very social. Like I'm very talkative. I'm very outgoing. But as soon as my social battery runs out, I will turn into the biggest introvert you have ever seen. Like I will not talk. I will stay on my phone. I'll just leave. Like I think my introvert self has come out a lot due to the pandemic, and now I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. And I honestly miss my old self, because I love being outgoing and I love making people feel like welcome and happy and safe and just being a welcoming person really does help other people's mental health, because they're like, wow, like you're so nice. But doing that, it exhausts me now. Like I can do that, but not for 7 hours a day,
Yeah,
plus
I
band
agree with what you're
rehearsals
saying.
and
Mhm.
a dance class and all that. Like I I'm not used to doing it for that long anymore. I'm not used to like putting a smile on my face and pretending like everything's okay and pretending like life is fine. Wow, that sounded so depressing, but like,
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. It's like before I was like school, it was like seeing other people, of course, seeing my friends. It was just so fun. And it was like there are times that I actually like dread the weekend because I couldn't see my friends. But now it's like the stress of school and everything else is more overwhelming, and it's like more it consumes my mind more than the joy of seeing my friends and being around other people. So it's like that's just something I've been struggling with, and it's like not something that just I've been dealing with. Like all my friends have been dealing with it too. Like of course we all miss each other, but at the same time being in this kind of situation, like just put in it, no preparation whatsoever, it's like there's only so much we can handle.
at the same time, I don't think it's the school's fault, because I think they tried to do their best, but I just don't think they went about it the right way, because they focused on things like they focused on the physical aspects of COVID, like for in preparation for in-person school. So we have 4 stairwells in our school, and 2 of them are up stairwells now, and 2 of them are down stairwells, meaning you can only go one direction on the stairwells now. That has actually made my life a hassle, because I'm literally, Sham, when I tell you I'm literally running around the school the entire day, because all my classes are like opposite ends of the school. Like I said, I think schools focused on the wrong thing, and they focused on like trying to keep COVID from spreading, which is a very important. I'm not saying it's not important. And I'm very happy that they did that, but they completely forgot about the mental health aspect and the general, like how students are struggling just getting back into the swing of things after the pandemic. And honestly, like I really hope that they do look at this and like hear the students complaining, and they hear our like concerns, and they do something about it, because a lot of times, even if you bring up concerns, they end up doing nothing. And
I also feel like at the same time, it's also really hard for the teachers because they spent like 1 year online teaching information to like either blank screens or like people, they know that people don't listen. And then all of a sudden they're put in this situation where they have to like talk in front of people again and like do everything like how they used to again. So it's like, definitely I feel like the teachers are struggling a lot too, because like no, I didn't see any like teacher in particular, but like on TikTok and other websites I like read online during the pandemic about how it's been equally or like really hard for the teachers as well because they aren't used to doing this sort of thing, and it's like they're in the same situation as us.
I know. And I also think there's not enough resources for teachers, because I cannot imagine they take joy in teaching. They definitely didn't do teaching for the money.
Yeah.
So they enjoy teaching. And I don't see any resources trying to help them. They have to be there for their students. They do their best to be there for their students, but what? There's no one there for them.
Okay, so now that we talked a lot about the more traumatic or like quote unquote depressing topics or like things about school that like a lot of people struggle with, let's more like dive into how to like help manage those things a little bit and make your like life a little bit easier. One thing that helped me a lot, and I think it helped you, I'm pretty sure it helped you and like a lot of people, is maintaining a regular like consistent routine again, like getting up on time, eating on time, sleeping at time, maybe having a nap, or like being well rested and well fed can definitely be help a lot with like the stress.
Yeah, you'd be surprised to see how much a routine helps, because it keeps your mind knows what's going on. You don't feel uncomfortable. And I think that mental health days are very important, because sometimes you just can't do it. Some days it's just too much. And take a break. Don't stay on TikTok for 8 hours. Go on a walk, read a book, maybe clean your room, right? But you know yourself the best, so you have the utmost right to say, hey, I need a break. I can't do this right now, because no one else is going to tell that, because they don't know you. And on that note, I think we're going to end today's podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for
Mhm.
listening. I'm sorry for the smaller podcast, but we are on a time crunch today. Tune back in 2 weeks from now for our next episode. Once again, thank you for listening and have an amazing day.